So can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was talking to you yesterday about how do we get what is called as angular distribution. That is how to relate anything that I measure in the laboratory to a theoretical expression. So if I measure gamma rays entering into a detector, what is the number of gamma rays with some particular energy in a particular angular direction, that is direction theta phi. So that is given mathematically by what is called as angular distribution function. So it depends on the angular distribution function, and there is a simplified, that is in the sense you can calculate it. And for, let us say, multiple value 1 and m is equal to 0, called dipole radiation, we obtain the angular distribution as sine, what is that, sine squared theta. It depends on theta, different angles theta, you get sine squared theta, and it doesn't depend on phi. So similarly, if I check the angular distribution of energy for any magnet, that is magnetic multiple radiation also, it gives you the same result. That is what we obtain from our theory. But now we see that the angular distribution of the energy, that is, there is some particular energy emitted when a gamma ray is emitted. What is its angular distribution? That is, at different angles, what is the number of gamma rays entering into different directions? So angular distribution of energy emitted is same for both electric and magnetic type of multiple radiation. That is what I emphasize. And this measurement of angular distribution can determine, that is, if I know what is the angular distribution of the radiation, different angles, at what is the number of gamma rays, that kind of angular distribution, this leads to determining multipolarity. That is, what is the L value, M value, but it does not give you whether it is electric type or magnetic type. This is what I emphasized. So in order to determine parity or whether the radiation is electric type or magnetic type, we need to measure polarization of the radiation also. This is what I told you in the last class. I am reading it again so that you understand the emphasis. That is, if I can measure what is the angular distribution, I will be able to determine the multiple value theoretical quantity called as multiple number, L, M, that can be determined, but not electric type or magnetic type. In order to do that, I have to include measurement of polarization of the radiation, and this is without further details. I am just mentioning it. So now, let us say I have, note that total energy emitted per second by a given type, let us say electric type or magnetic type, is given by, I am repeating it now. If you take total energy, what should you do for total energy? You have to integrate over whatever is the expression, angular distribution, over all angles. Once you integrate, what you get is called total energy. We know that this is equal to AELM mod squared. That's what I obtain if I integrate over all the angles. And then similarly, there is a d omega which is wrong here. After integrating over d omega, I don't get a d omega here. It is only AELM mod squared. And similarly, if I integrate, if it is a magnetic type radiation, integrate over entire, integrate means here experimentally I am adding every value of the radiation for all angles. Then I obtain, if I calculate it, I'm not showing you the calculation. I will get all angular part is over and I get only what is called as the probability of getting L and M, AELM mod square. That's what I obtain. All this is not there. Next part. So I have to similarly obtain AMLM because I have a specific relation the angular distribution integrated over d omega is equal to 1. So UELM, as I emphasized to you, angular distribution is given by ZLM AMLM mod squared or ZLM AELM mod squared. If you integrate over d omega, I get ZLM of theta phi d omega integral. AMLM mod squared is independent of theta phi. It's independent of R. So I don't get anything there. So I get integral ZLM theta phi d omega, that is 1 by property of spherical harmonics. I don't derive it, I am telling you. So I am telling you actual total energy radiated, total number of counts in all directions is an integral over UELM theta phi with a AELM mod squared. It gives you the probability of finding a radiation with L value, M value. So that is what is emphasized. So now, moreover, we also know a property from our spherical harmonic functions, angular distribution function, that the angular distribution of energy obeys one more condition. That is, if I sum over all magnetic value, M value, L is 1, M takes values -1 to +1, with -1, 0, +1. So if I sum over this, then what happens? I can get what is called as AELM mod squared, ZLM of theta phi, no mod squared, ZLM of theta phi. So this leads to AEL mod squared and magnitude of M is equal to -L to +L. No mod squared here. It is correct to be corrected. Please correct it. It is simply ZLM of theta phi. So if suppose I now say, suppose I say AELM, when I take it outside the summation, what should it be? It should not depend on M. Okay, let me repeat. I don't have my iScribe today because I left it in the department. What I am telling you is a mathematical result. That is to say, take the angular distribution of energy that is given by this quantity AELM mod squared UELM theta phi. Now I sum over M value. M value takes values from -L to +L. If I take a summation here, what do I get? I get ZLM, not mod squared. Please check the expression for UELM. It doesn't have a mod squared there. That is my mistake. So don't add that. So AELM mod squared, ZLM theta phi. That's what I will get. Now, I will sum over this, but then I assume that this AELM does not depend on M. Suppose I say AELM, that is the coefficient of expansion, if in the special case, it does not depend on M, but it only depends on L. In such case, I can take out AEL, no M dependence, and then take a summation. M is equal to -L to +L, ZLM of theta phi, no mod squared, sorry. So then I obtain, I know the result for ZLM. If I take ZLM theta phi summed over M is equal to -L to +L, it gives me the value 2L + 1 divided by 4 pi. So I get out, this is the independent of theta phi. If I sum over M is equal to -L to +L. I am telling you two different things. One is integrate over theta phi. It is obviously independent of theta phi, and you get a AELM mod squared. That's all what you get. Now, if you sum over M also, by known results, I get independent of theta phi. Summation over M kills the theta phi dependence, and it gives you AEL mod squared, because M dependence is not there, is assumed. Then if AELM is inside the summation, I can't simplify it. If AELM is there, if I can take it outside and sum over ZLM of theta phi, angular distribution function, it becomes independent of theta phi, and it gives you 2L + 1 divided by 4 pi. So I will correct it and send it to you. This is mod is m is minus L2 plus L ZLM, that is 2L plus 1 divided by 4 pi. Similarly, I get AM mod squared. If I write AM of L outside, I get same. That is, I get 2L plus 1 by 4 pi into AML mod squared. This happens. When this happens, physical thing is, physics wise, this happens when I have a incoherent source. Incoherent source means each one emits the radiation in different directions, and each source that I have, one source if I have, I can have a coherent radiation. But if I have an incoherent, it's not in particular way. If I have a original, spontaneously, if I take a source, if it emits multiple radiations with coefficients independent of m. So if I have incoherent source, what is incoherent? It is, I don't prepare the source. Naturally, what is available, I take it. Then I get, if I sum over the m values, that is magnetic quantum number, not quantum number, m is associated with the multiple value. If I take sub m minus L2 plus L, I get the total thing to be independent of theta phi. What does that mean? If I have an incoherent source, even if I measure angular distribution at different angles, it is same. It doesn't change with angle. Though my theory says angular distribution should change in all the directions, but when I have an incoherent source, it naturally gives you a summation over m is equal to minus L2 plus L, because I don't know the m value. When I count the number of gamma rays coming in a particular direction, I get angular independence. It is isotropic in all directions. I again emphasize, when do you have no dependence on theta phi? No dependence on theta phi can come when I sum over m value for all the directions. That is, for given, if I count the radiation and sum over m, that is what I do experimentally. It may be little confusing to you, but I will just emphasize that you washed out angular distribution comes when you simply take summation over m value. Summation over m value means what I obtain in experiments when I have an incoherent source. I don't have a coherent source. This is what happens in nature. I don't have a prepared source in a particular way, or I don't have a controlled experiment where I can get information about angular distribution. It gets killed. So I need to do something different. To obtain what is our aim, we need to know what is the multiple value of the radiation. Multiple value of the radiation depends on angular distribution function. If the angular distribution function is, say, sin squared theta, I will say the radiation is dipole. If the angular distribution is, say, cos to the power 4 theta, then I will say it is quadrupole type, etc. But in an incoherent source, all this information get washed out, and I don't get angular distribution of radiation. If I have an incoherent source, whatever you have in your laboratory is an incoherent source. If you try to do an experiment on angular distribution with any incoherent source, you don't get any information on the multiple value. Our aim is to obtain what is the multiple value of a radiation which is coming from a nucleus. So I will not be able to obtain it when I have an incoherent source. So I move ahead and say there is a method experimentalists, theorists have invented to obtain the angular distribution, retrieve angular distribution from whatever source is given to me. I will tell you about that. That is the next part. Angular distribution is discussed. I am repeating the points that I have discussed from last class. What is angular distribution? Energy radiated in different directions. Energy radiated is gamma rays in different directions. There is a distribution, angular distribution it is different in different directions, is what is predicted in theory. If you find angular distribution, you know that it is going to give you the multipole value. It is a unique signature of what is the multipole value. Fine. But now, nature plays a big role here. What nature says is, if you integrate or if you sum over the multiple, that is m value, that is what happens automatically when you count the radiation. Because when you are counting radiation in different directions, you don't know what is the m value. I have to sum over that. When I sum over m in an incoherent source, all the information that is contained in the gamma ray about angular distribution, it gets washed out. Because summation, according to theory, summation over m gives you simply 2l plus 1 divided by 4 pi, which is doesn't depend on theta phi. So no theta phi dependence can be stored if you use an incoherent source. Even if you do an angular distribution, you get an isotropic distribution. You don't get any information. How do people overcome that and still aim to determine what is the L value of the radiation? If you know the L value, you know what is the nuclear state associated with. That is, L value is a signature of what is the source. What are the energy levels in the source? That's what we want to know. We want to know about nucleus through the emitted gamma rays. So if your take-home lesson is to determine angular distribution, it is not possible with an incoherent source. So we have to have some clever ideas to determine angular distribution of the radiation. How people do it? That's what I'm going ahead and telling you. This is called directional correlations between successively emitted gamma rays. I will tell you slowly. What one tries to do is gamma-gamma angular correlation. How it reveals angular distribution? Let me tell you. I consider, that is, this is the heading, but I consider a nucleus which decays in a cascade way. What is cascade? I have JA, JB, and JC. Let us say 3 energy levels are there in a nucleus. First, a nucleus decays from level A to level B. Let me denote the radiation by energy of the radiation by E gamma 1. And then next, B to C, the energy emitted is E gamma 2. This is called cascade decay. I have cascade of gamma rays. One gamma ray comes, and from the next level, second gamma ray comes. So this is called cascade gamma decay. And now I will say, if I have a nucleus decaying in cascade way by the emission of gamma 1 from the state phi A to phi B, and then emission of gamma 2 from phi B to phi C. Let us take such a nuclear decay. You do see that there are some nuclei which emit 2 cascaded gamma rays. For example, you have done your laboratory experiment, single channel analyzer, multi-channel analyzer, which has 2 gamma rays emitted. Can you give a name of a nucleus which emits 2 gamma rays? You see 2 photo peaks in the gamma ray spectrum. Do you remember the nucleus which emits 2 gamma rays successively? Which means you do see 2 photo peaks. I am waiting for your answer. Are there any nuclei that you have seen, any gamma ray source giving you 2 photo peaks? Yes or no? First. Yes.
Cobalt
No.
also.
Cobalt. Cobalt 60 gives you 2 gamma rays. You can see sodium also, I think. I don't remember. So there are 2 photo peaks. That means in cobalt 60 nucleus, you have one radiation. It's not ground state. It still emits another. That is because of whatever, some particular reason, it emits 2 gamma rays. So in such case, I will now check what is our theory, and then how do I determine angular distribution when I have such a gamma distribution, such cascade gamma rays. My aim is to determine the L value of a gamma distribution, gamma ray. So let me explain. Consider spins and parities of the states for 3 energy levels A, B, C. Let me denote the spin and parity of the energy levels for a simplicity, that it is Ja pi. Ja is spin, pi is parity, pi A is parity. Ja pi and Jc pi both are given by 0 plus. That is, spin is 0, parity is plus. And Jb pi in between, that is 1 minus. I should have written Ja pi A, Jb pi B, Jc pi C. J denotes spin, pi denotes parity. That is our nomenclature. I can't forget it. I started gamma decay plus a chapter by introducing these notations. So remember that. Now I am taking Ja to be 0, Jc to be 0, Jb is 1. That's what I will consider for simplicity. According to selection rules on gamma transitions, what is the L value of gamma 1? What is the spin of A level? It is 0. Spin of B level, tell me. Level B, spin. It is written, it is seen here. A has a spin. Ja. What is Ja? Are you with me? What is
Zero.
Ja?
0.
0. Jb?
1.
So what is the gamma L value of gamma 1? How do you determine? It is first class on gamma decay.
Ja minus JB.
Modulus, because
Modulus.
L is positive. L is always positive. So Ja minus Jb is what? When you have 0 and 1.
1.
1. So it's a dipole radiation. Remember that. It's a dipole radiation. Okay. So I will say, according to selection rules on gamma transition, we have L gamma 1 is Ja minus Jb, which is 1. And pi, parity change, it is minus 1 power L gamma 1, which is minus. What is pi A into pi B? Pi A is plus, pi B is minus. Parity is plus and minus. So product of parity is minus. So parity selection rule says, if pi A into pi B is equal to minus 1 power L, it is electric type. So I have an electric dipole radiation. From first A to B, it is electric dipole. Similarly, you will see that B to C is also a electric dipole radiation. So I have 2 dipole radiations, but different energy values. E gamma 1 need not be equal to E gamma 2. Most of the cases, E gamma 1 is not equal to E gamma 2. 2 different gamma rays, 2 different energy gamma rays of electric dipole variety are emitted in such an energy scheme. Now, I will say, now I have already told you selection rules, but I have not mentioned especially another selection rule, that is, according to selection rules, delta MAB, that is MA minus MB, is the M value carried by the gamma. So far, I have been telling you what is the L value carried by the gamma ray. What is the M value carried? M value is simply difference between MA and MB. MA minus MB is M value for the gamma ray. How does it come? I'm not explaining. So I will tell you, calculate what is MA minus MB. What is MA first? What is JA? Again, tell me what is JA. It is 0. What is MA? It is 0. So 0 and MB, I have 1. JB is 1. What are the allowed values of M? MB can take values. What are the allowed values of MB for state level B? For a nucleus, what is MB? If you are with me, I will get an answer. If you are not with me, you should raise a question. Are you able to hear me? If you have a doubt, please ask. Otherwise, answer my question. Given a J, what is M?
Minus J2 plus J.
Minus J2 plus J. If J is 0, MA is 0. That is very clear to everybody. If J is 1, that is JB. What are the allowed values of M?
Minus
MB.
1, 0,
Minus
1.
1, 0, plus 1. All three. So I will say M gamma 1 is going to be plus or minus 1, and is it plus or minus 1? 1 minute. Plus or minus 1 and 0. It is cut here. It is plus or minus 1 and 0. So similarly, for a second gamma ray, I do find same thing. M gamma 2 is MB minus MC, that is plus or minus 1. Why? Because MB is plus or minus 1 and 0. What is MC? I'm asking you, what is JC? Read it. What is MC?
0.
0. So 1 minus 0, MB is plus or minus 1 and 0. MC is 0. So delta MAB, M gamma 2 has to be plus or minus 1 and 0. That is MB minus MC. So I write down. This is another thing that I have asked you. So selection rules demand that delta MAB is M gamma. So I do have MBC is M gamma 2. And now, if MB is equal to 0, when MB is equal to 0, we obtain delta MAB is equal to plus or minus 1 and 0. So MBC is also plus or minus 1, 0. If you get confused, go back and check what are the M gamma values in this particular transition. It's only algebra, add and subtract. I want you to tell me what are the allowed values of delta MAB, delta MBC. That means MA minus MB, MB minus MC. It is always given by plus or minus 1 and 0. Fine. Now, if I take radiation with L gamma is equal to 1 and M gamma is plus or minus 1 and 0, all the M gamma are equally probable. What do I mean by that? I told you earlier, for any incoherent source, M gamma plus or minus 1 and 0, they appear with equal probability. L is 1, fine. But M is plus 1 comes with same number as M is minus 1 and M is 0. They are equally probable. So I do obtain one thing. AELM is AEL, no dependence on M. So I am telling you a mathematical point now. M dependence is not there in AELM when I have an incoherent source. In the particular case that I am considering, cascade decay, I will say the E gamma 1 radiation does not have any angular dependence. Similarly, if I look at only gamma 2, there is no angular dependence. Fine. Now I play a trick. What is the trick? I will check. Let us study at least what is the angular distribution for dipole radiation. Dipole radiation we have worked out. If you write L is equal to 1 and M, don't fix the value of M, fix the value of M for 1, 0, minus 1. What do I get? I did tell you delta M is 0 means M is 0. I had checked what is L is equal to 1 and m is equal to 0, it is sine squared theta. That is angular distribution of dipole radiation. Theoretically is given by 1 minus cos squared theta d omega. But if I take m is equal to plus or minus 1, I get 1 plus cos squared theta. This is not done, but I ask you to do, given the angular distribution, find out what is the angular distribution function ZLM of theta phi for L is equal to 1 and M is Z10 we have calculated. Z11 you have to substitute it into ZLM of theta phi. This is known to you. Expression is given. Substitute M is equal to plus 1. Identify M, LM, YLM given. So you have to substitute YLM and find out that Z11 depends on 1 plus cos squared theta. That is sine squared theta and cos squared theta are your results here. If you calculate it. So where am I? I told you for delta M is equal to 0 or M gamma is equal to 0, you get 1 minus cos squared theta as the distribution. If you take M is equal to plus or minus 1, you get half of 1 plus cos squared theta. You can verify it. If you get it, now sum over all these three. Delta M 0, delta M plus or minus 1. That means I am summing over M value. I do get, what do I get? If you sum over the M values, this is 1. Summation over plus 1 and minus 1. It becomes half plus half is 1. Add these two. What do you get? 1. No, there is a 2. Correct. 2. 2. That is angular distribution independent. There is no angular distribution. So I will say angular distribution of radiation emitted is this. Actually, in an experiment, I find sum of all these things, which is constant, independent of theta phi. That is the highlight. I cannot determine angular distribution if I looked at angular distribution of an electric dipole radiation is explicitly verified here. Once I check that, now I will say radiation gamma 1 emitted from A to B is isotropic. That is, photon gamma 1 emitted in a nuclear transition from A to B has no preferred direction. And isotropic means there is no preferred direction. Fine. So now let us say I fix what is your coordinate system. You have to tell me how do you determine theta phi. To say theta phi, you have to have a XYZ coordinate system. Am I right? I have to fix my laboratory coordinate axis. What is my X? What is my Y? What is my Z? All of us may take different values, but I have to fix one value when I observe what is the angle theta phi at which I am determining number of gamma rays entering into the detector. Correct? When I do an experiment, I should fix a coordinate system. Now I do one particular trick. Trick is, let us fix our coordinate system, our laboratory coordinate system, such that the z-axis is parallel to gamma 1 radiation. What am I doing? I do find two gamma rays being emitted. First gamma ray, it is emitted now. Where is it emitted? I detect. Detector D1 says click. That detector direction, I call it as z-axis. Okay. So I get detector number 1 clicking for first gamma ray. I say that is my z direction now. Okay. So I fix the z coordinate system such that z-axis is parallel to the direction of gamma 1 emitted in the A to B nuclear transition. What do I get now? I should check what is the angular distribution now. I have U of delta M is equal to 0 is 1 minus cos squared theta. What is the angle theta if the direction is z-axis? If I choose z-axis, and what is the angle between z-axis and z-axis? What is the angle made by z with z?
0.
0. So cos squared 0 is what?
1.
1.
1. So 1 minus 1, 0. You don't find delta m is equal to 0 is what you get. If you fix the z-axis to be 0, there is no value obtained here in mathematically talking about. So if you take delta m is equal to plus or minus 1, for theta is equal to 0, it will be 1, correct? 1 plus 1 divided by 2, that is 1 into d omega. That's what I obtain when I fix the z-axis to be theta is equal to 0. So what I am saying now is, with that observation, I will now say, thus, we have when delta MAB is 0, it does not occur because U delta MAB is 0 is proportional to 1 minus cos squared 0, which is 0. There is no M is equal to 0 associated with when z-axis is chosen to be my direction. So therefore, when coordinate system is chosen such that z-axis is parallel to the direction of photon gamma 1, where I don't have delta MB is equal to 0 contributing to the angular distribution. Specifically, you don't get confused. I will tell you little more clearly, and then again I repeat it in the next class so that you will understand what I am trying to say. The transition A to B has contributions from delta MB is equal to plus or minus 1 only. I have cleverly removed delta MB is equal to 0 by fixing the direction of gamma ray as the z-axis. First gamma ray is emitted. I see where is the detector kept. That direction is called the z-axis. Then I get only contributions from delta MAB is equal to plus or minus 1. Now, I have a second gamma ray. Second transition must have delta MBC. I should have, this is M is equal to plus 1. Then second radiation will have a plus 1 or minus 1. 0 will not appear for the second transition. So because 0 is not there in delta MAB, according to selection rules, I should write plus or minus 1 only for MBC, second gamma ray. So I do have delta MBC is equal to plus 1 plus U delta MBC is equal to minus 1. This is not isotropic. It does have an angular distribution. How did I achieve it? By fixing the first gamma ray to be z-axis, second gamma ray will show you some angular distribution. That is achieved cleverly. I take first gamma ray as my reference. It is z-axis for me. Then the other gamma ray, second gamma ray, which is coming, it does not have contributions from MAB is equal to 0 according to selection rules. So I have only M is equal to plus 1, M is equal to minus 1, no 0 contribution for the second gamma ray angular distribution. I do calculate it, and then I know by the angular distribution of gamma 2 with respect to the direction of first photon is given by, I call this as one new notation. People are crazy, they give you several notations. So I have beg you to remember this notation. W theta 1 2 means first radiation. With respect to the first radiation, what is the direction of second radiation? W theta 1 2 d gamma d omega is nothing but delta U delta M is 1 plus cos squared theta 1 2. This is 1 plus cos squared theta 1 2 into half. So it is going to be a constant multiplied by, there is an angle theta 1 2 which appears in the final result. So now this gives the probability that gamma 2 is found with the solid angle delta d omega. I check my second detector detects the gamma ray 2, and then it says within the solid angle there is a distribution. So the second gamma ray tells me if this is the distribution, what do I conclude about the L value of second gamma ray? Do you know what is the L value? If it is 1 plus cos squared theta, then cos squared theta is a signature of L is equal to 1. It's a dipole radiation is what I will say experimental. So that's what this says. So I will say from our gamma-gamma correlation studies. What is gamma-gamma correlation study? One gamma ray is fixed as a reference. Second gamma ray angular correlation tells me what is the L value of the second gamma ray. At least if one is used as a reference gamma ray, its z-axis is fixed. Its direction is fixed to be z-axis. Then the second gamma ray will tell me, will give you what is the angular correlation. So that's what is shown in the particular example. So particular example means in the cascade gamma decay of 0, 1, 0, sequence of spins is 0, 1, 0. This kind of a simplest case. Where is it? I showed you this picture. J is 0, JB is 1, JC is 0. In such a case, I get this particular result. So I will finally say the radiated gamma, So gamma-gamma angular correlation, from gamma-gamma angular correlation, it is possible to determine the multipole order L of the radiation emitted. So these gamma-gamma correlation studies are found to be valuable for the study of nuclear spectroscopy. I will stop with this and tell you about angular correlation studies in cobalt-60 experiment in next class. That is an experimental study of L value, angular correlation, using our known knowledge of theory. So I will stop it at this, stop sharing. So, and then when I